Can you hear me in the back? Good? Yeah? Awesome. Okay, so thank you, Rob, for introducing me. Ooh, pretty loud there. So, ever since I was a kid, I've always loved video games. First video game I spent a lot of time on was Super Metroid for the Super Nintendo. I'll spend hours analyzing every path and finding the most optimal route to each boss. I was enthralled by the way the game told a story, without a lot of dialogue, without a lot of cutscenes. Just you and your suit of armor venturing deeper into an alien world. As an adult, my job is to help others tell their story through the use of great communication. I believe the best indicator of communication is when a team can take an idea that is disjointed, disorganized, or incomplete and produce something great that people can use and enjoy. A lot of your favorite video games, apps, and websites, they started as notes on a napkin, they started as wireframes, started all these disjointed things, and it took teams years, months to decipher all of this, piece it together, and create. I used to work for a company in town called HitSense. We produce mobile games and apps for a wide variety of audiences. There's a long process to produce a video game, and as a project manager, I get to participate in each step of that process. My job is to always make sure that the team has the requirements and the resources they need to succeed with any project. One of the challenges I faced at HitSense was to produce artwork for a video game based on the Godfather film trilogy. This type of partnership between video games and brands has become much more common in the mobile game world. You might see a lot of celebrities now have their own apps. I think there's a Kim Kardashian game. There's a lot of games for celebrities. And when a movie or a musician already has branded content and wants to partner with a video game developer, it makes your job as a game developer that much easier. This brand already has an audience. They already have followers. They already have people who already interact with the brand. And as a result, they want to interact with your game. This video game was deeply rooted in 1930s America, in a time of mob bosses, pinstripe suits, and organized crime. The mythos surrounding this era is all familiar to people who study Prohibition and Al Capone. This is not familiar to someone outside the United States who did not have these same legends elevated in their media. This brand is deeply rooted in American culture. I had a deadline to produce buildings and characters true to that era of the United States. I had a team of talented artists in China with portfolios that would humble any art critic. And I had the task of illustrating the story of this world through photographs, historical research, and art descriptions to people halfway across the world who did not speak English as their first language and didn't have the same cultural context that we do. It is a good thing to be challenged, to have the odds stacked against you and succeed in spite of them. If you're never challenged, you never learn your limits or how to break them. I spent many late nights finding photographs of people, looking at articles about fashion and technology, and most importantly, I tempered my language to my audience. You cannot always communicate nuance through written text, and I had to make sure that anything I said was simple, to the point, and provided plenty of context, because whatever I said will be translated into another language. And Chinese is a very direct language. Sarcasm is something we take for granted in English, but it is non-existent in Chinese. There was a time where I needed to describe the mood of a mobster with a sarcastic smile. How do you explain sarcasm to a person who has no concept of it? You explain it poorly, very poorly. And I don't believe that I could have succeeded in this challenge if I was not a creative writing major in college. When I was a kid, I struggled with communication. My family thought I was deaf, and they yelled my name, Luiggi, Luiggi, and I would completely ignore them. Now as an adult, I think my brain might have just been wired differently. I love analyzing things. There's nothing that can be analyzed more than language. Speaking to other people is the most important skill that you can learn in life. No matter what you do, If you cannot communicate with your team in a clear and effective way, you are doomed to becoming obsolete. There's this stereotype that programmers are secluded and bad at talking to other people. I work with programmers every day. And they actually have the most clear communication style because they rely on someone like a project manager to deliver requirements to them from CEOs and clients. These stakeholders are not always going to be clear. They may not communicate with you verbally. Their thoughts are going to be scattered in emails, in text messages, in instant messages, in conference calls where you need to remember every single detail. So how do you piece all this together for the team building the product? If you're an English major, you're already used to disseminating your own thoughts, and I think the process is the same. You research, you outline, you obsess over the tiniest details, and you make sure that with each iteration, your work is better than it was before. So when I started down this career path, I did not have a technical background. I was fortunate to start a position where I was the assistant to a project manager that could climb my way to a higher career. I had very talented people that made sure to explain to me why and how something was done, instead of just doing it. You create a tree once for a video game. You can duplicate it to create an entire forest. This is called a prefab, and it's used to save a lot of developer time. My wife likes to call this fancy copy and paste. Knowing the how and the why helps me communicate with developers better, and I couldn't do my job without this knowledge. So why is it important to hire someone without a technical background for a very technical job? I like to refer back to this quote from Jeffrey Hammerbacher. Jeffrey was one of the early data scientists at Facebook. He's moved on to found his own data companies, but the quote that made him immortal was, "The best minds in my generation are thinking about how to make people click ads. That sucks." The industries that you will work for have become very comfortable. The tech industry is full of people trying to work for the largest tech company with the coolest campus and benefits. It's filled with career entrepreneurs looking to create the next big Snapchat or Crossy Road, with investors ready to pour money into an idea that may only be slightly better than what existed before. What happens when an entrepreneur's sole purpose is to grow a business, sell it, and do it all over again? What happens is people stop taking risks. There's a lack of innovation that I believe needs the perspective of artists and thinkers who can pull from their own experiences to disrupt the industries they work for. Sometimes the best way to innovate is to disrupt. Uber has built a ride-sharing service that, for better or worse, disrupted the taxi industry. Now they're building self-driving cars. This is a company that spent countless hours and resources growing their business, is now reinvesting all that money to replace the very drivers that produce all of their revenue. Disruption is how we innovate. Disruption is how we grow. At my current job, I have the pleasure of finding ways to disrupt things for our clients. Southern Maid is a startup web agency in Nashville, Tennessee. In the marketing world, it is agencies that are responsible for bringing you advertisements, sweepstakes, social media. Agencies are the people that spread and grow the audiences for your favorite games and movies. The movie industry, the music industry, any industry doesn't have the time or talent to pursue all of their marketing ideas. Agencies provide the time and talent as a service. Startups provide the energy. A few weeks ago, we were approached by Lionsgate. The studio had a multi-phase marketing plan to build up hype for the Power Rangers movie. This is a movie, so they go all out with social media, virtual reality games, sweepstakes to win tickets to the premiere. Lionsgate has partnered with Twitter to create 5 Power Rangers emoji. Whenever someone tweets their favorite color Power Ranger, they get an emoji next to their Twitter icon from March 1st to March 31st. Our challenge was to find a way to make people excited about this Twitter campaign. The project centered around a heat map of the United States and the world that lit up with the colors of each Power Ranger based on the amount of tweets within a certain location. This map would live on a website that would have traffic pushed to it by all the different social media accounts associated with the movie. We had less than a week to pull this off. Normally, the process of gathering requirements, hiring designers, hiring developers, going through all the processes that creates a website has to be done in at least 2 weeks or more. And I had to condense this entire process into a few days to meet a hard March 1st deadline. In my job, we don't miss deadlines. So much more than just our relationship with the client depends on hitting the deadline. If we didn't have a site ready and polished by March 1st, then all the money, the resources, the people working on this project with ways to push fans to our site would be wasted. That kind of pressure can be maddening. That kind of pressure is to make sure we succeed. That kind of pressure can also force some expedited creativity. We immediately went to work prototyping the heat map. We bounced from one mapping library to the other. We hacked away at different platforms for scanning tweets. And each time we failed, we found another way forward. It was not until the designs were nearly done that we realized we should access Twitter directly. Most people only interact with Twitter to log in and post tweets. Developers can interact with Twitter through an API. This is an application program interface. These are the rules for how your application interacts with Twitter or another application. Twitter search API let us look for any tweets around the world and access all the data associated with those tweets. And normally, this is limited to 15 requests every 15 minutes. Our client was able to negotiate a lift on that restriction and grant us 20,000 requests every 15 minutes. This allowed us to search for tweets containing one of the 5 Power Rangers hashtags in any geographical area, determine the approximate location of that hashtag, and then fill in our map with a color intensity between 1 and 10, depending on the amount of tweets in that country. Of course, this was not a perfect science. Not every tweet contains location data. When people tweet, they don't usually tell you where they're from. So we built some redundancy in our backend system to always light up an area, even in places where people cannot access Twitter. We also created a looping lightning bolt animation to make users believe that real-time activity was happening. All packaged together, this made for a mostly real, believable campaign that generated excitement for the fans of the movie and met all the requirements set forth by our client. So there's a common phrase we throw around in tech startups: fake it till you make it. This is the slogan, the prayer, the mantra. These are the words that we praise when we're faced with an impossible situation. The Power Rangers campaign we built is not completely accurate to Twitter activity because Twitter activity is not complete or accurate. When you have a goal in mind, it is more important to reach that goal with the same effect than to fail trying. If you do fail, you must fail quickly, because it is from failure that we find solutions. We failed to find a way to generate a real-time map with accurate Twitter data. We succeeded in increasing the amount of Power Rangers tweets in the world in a tangible, measurable way. Now, I've done a lot of projects like these. In the past year, Southern Maine has produced over 100 web apps ranging from marketing campaigns to music campaigns, book websites, apps for teachers, apps for hospitals. With every project, I've found ways to grow and improve our process along the way. I want to do things faster. I want to do things better. And every time I want to make sure that we can keep delivering that promise to our clients, that we don't miss deadlines, no matter how ridiculously impossible they are. A lot of personal growth comes with the type of jobs I've done as well. I've come to appreciate doing things quickly, because the reality is a lot of development shops will take way too long on a project and cost way too much as a result. Time is our most valuable resource. And I don't think anyone appreciates time better than Elon Musk. There's a man who built SpaceX, Tesla, Solar City, not because he wanted to make a lot of money, but because he dreams of a brighter future for humanity. That road to a brighter future is filled with 80-hour work weeks and a drive to build products faster, cheaper, and better than before. And I don't believe anyone else captures that iterative process as well as this. I think it's very important to have a feedback loop where you're constantly thinking about what you're doing and how you could be doing it better. I think that's the single best piece of advice. Constantly think about how you could be doing things better and question yourself. Nothing is ever perfect. And because it is not perfect, you never stop climbing and you never stop iterating. There's always another milestone to reach. If you're a person of color, or a woman, or an immigrant, you know you have to climb farther than other people. That is okay. It is a good thing to be challenged, as I said before, and succeed in spite of any situation you find yourself in. I know that my story will continue to greater things because I want to build those greater things. You should too. Thank you.